Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 8 p.m. on LA56.
A new strain of enterovirus has hit Southern California. 4 children have gotten sick, and state health officials are worried there could be more cases.
Congress approves President Obama's plan to train and equip moderate Syrian rebels to fight ISIS. President Obama says it's all part of degrading and ultimately destroying the terrorist group.
The only thing I could really think about was my son.
JetBlue passengers described terrifying moments after an engine mishap after takeoff forces the plane to make an emergency landing. Good evening, I'm Ellen Leva.
I'm Mark Brown. David and Colleen are off. Welcome to Eyewitness News on LA56. A rare illness which has struck children in 16 states has now reached Southern California. State health officials say 4 children here have been infected by a new strain of the enterovirus. Health specialist Denise Tador is live in our newsroom with the latest on their condition.
What makes enterovirus D68 troubling to parents is how quickly it can attack a child's airways. The California Department of Health reports all 4 patients who tested positive for the uncommon cold virus all needed intensive care. 3 cases were confirmed in San Diego, another in Ventura County.
They are all children. They are all doing well today. But during the peak of their illness, they were all hospitalized in the intensive care unit of a hospital.
The patients range in age from 2 to 13 years old. None of the children had traveled outside of California prior to getting sick. Dr. Gil Chavez says it's important to note 3 of the 4 patients had asthma. He says if your child has respiratory issues, make sure they're up to date on their medications.
And any asthmatic child that develops an infection is not getting well quickly should really consult with their healthcare provider.
With school in full swing, health officials say the focus is now on slowing the outbreak. Pediatricians are reminding kids and their families to cough and sneeze into their elbows and to wash their hands constantly.
The first couple days that you have cough and congestion are usually the most contagious. So staying home away from other kids is one of the best methods of not allowing that to spread.
The 4 children infected are all recovering. Testing of more specimens are underway, and officials expect to find more. Infectious disease experts remind us EVD68 was first identified in California in 1962, but it hasn't really been seen much until now. Denise Tador, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
The 4 California children infected are all recovering. Testing of more specimens is underway, and officials expect to find more. Infectious disease experts remind us that EVD68 was first identified in California in 1962, but it hasn't really been seen much until now.
Smoke could be seen for miles when a brush fire erupted in the hills above Encino this evening. The Los Angeles City firefighters were quick on it. A team of firefighters was dropped off by chopper right into the rugged terrain, and water-dropping choppers lined up and dropped load after load upon the fire. The ground crew also attacked the flames with shovels and chainsaws. Fire is now out, and the ground crew is taking care of any hot spots.
A major development in the U.S. war effort against ISIS. Congress is giving President Obama the authority and the funding to train and equip moderate Syrian rebels to fight the terror group. The vote comes as ISIS released a new hostage video. Eyewitness News reporter Alex Michelson has the latest.
The vote is 73 to 22. The joint resolution is passed.
In a rare show of bipartisanship, the Senate overwhelmingly approved $500 million to train the so-called moderate opposition in Syria.
The strong bipartisan support in Congress for this new training effort shows the world that Americans are united in confronting the threat from ISIL.
The amendment is adopted.
Just yesterday, the House passed a similar resolution in an even rarer show of bipartisan support.
When you threaten the United States, when you threaten our allies, it doesn't divide us, it unites us.
But some in Congress are skeptical about who exactly are the moderates in Syria. They're concerned we may be unintentionally arming allies of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, a man who has used chemical weapons against his own people.
Our ambassador to Iraq and Syria says, we don't have a clue who the moderates are and who the jihadists are.
The Secretary of State was on Capitol Hill today to ease concerns.
The organizing principle of the region, which is success breeds success, you're going to begin to see more people say, we're on the side of the moderates, we're going to be with moderates.
Today, ISIS released a new video showing British journalist John Cantley, who was kidnapped 2 years ago in Syria. Unlike previous beheading videos, this one shows Cantley alone and at a desk. Last night, Australia launched the country's largest ever counterterrorism raid, responding to a threat from ISIS. At least 15 people were detained by 800 police officers. The Australian Prime Minister says that authorities intercepted phone calls where ISIS supporters claimed that they were going to publicly behead random people in the street.
This is not just suspicion, this is intent.
Today, the president of France announced that France will not be sending combat boots on the ground in Iraq, but will join the U.S. in launching airstrikes in Iraq.
As one of our oldest and closest allies, France is a strong partner.
President Obama reiterated today that he will not send U.S. combat boots on the ground in Iraq or Syria. He has not yet decided whether to launch airstrikes over Syria. Reporting from the newsroom, Alex Michelson, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
A mid-air emergency causes passengers aboard a JetBlue flight to fear the worst. The plane had just taken off from Long Beach Airport when an engine problem forced it to turn around. Eyewitness News reporter Greg Lee shows us the tense moments were captured with cell phone cameras by some of the passengers.
This cell phone video shows the terrifying moments just 10 minutes into a JetBlue flight leaving Long Beach for Austin, Texas. White smoke fills the cabin. Passengers try to stay calm while putting on oxygen masks.
It was pretty nerve-wracking, man. You couldn't see really in front of you. The entire plane filled with smoke all the way. A lot of loud banging.
Passengers say the pilot then announced an emergency landing. They were heading back to Long Beach Airport.
I may not survive this. Yeah, I felt that this may be it.
The plane made it safely to the runway. Then the 142 passengers and 5 flight attendants exited the plane on slides.
You know, they instructed us to run as fast as feasibly possible away from the plane, so it was a very triumphant experience, to say the least.
Everyone made it off the plane and was checked out by the fire department. Fortunately, no one was seriously injured.
3 were treated and released at the scene, and 1 was transported and I believe has been since released.
As the passengers waited inside the JetBlue office, the airport and airline began to sort out what caused all of the chaos.
An incident with engine number 2. It alerted in the cockpit that there was some smoke and an overheat.
The cause really doesn't matter to the passengers we spoke to. They say they're just happy to get back to their families.
I just had a son, so the only thing I could really think about was my son. So I'd probably say it was the best feeling that I probably had in my life to date.
The Long Beach Fire Department says it's working with JetBlue to pinpoint exactly what caused engine number 2 to overheat. In the meantime, a lot of relieved families tonight. Reporting in Long Beach, Greg Lee, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
A man found covered in blood and screaming has been arrested on suspicion of killing his 6-year-old son. LA County Sheriff's detectives say they were called to the 1600th block of 88th Street in Florence early this morning. They found Alejandro Sanchez in his front yard screaming incoherently. They found his young son bleeding from multiple stab wounds in a trailer behind the house. He was taken to the hospital where he died. Sanchez was arrested and is being held on $1 million bail. Investigators haven't released a motive for the attack.
Gordo, the fluffy white dog, is out of surgery. Surgeons are trying to save his right hind leg after Gordo was run over by a stolen van during a police pursuit. Eyewitness News reporter Sid Garcia reports from the veterinary hospital in Culver City.
El Gordo tiene mucha suerte. Muy quiere vivir.
Gordo's owner says the family pet is lucky and that he wants to live. Before going into surgery this afternoon, Gordo's veterinarians had some very good news.
The plan, based on the preoperative testing that we've done with x-rays, is to try and salvage his leg.
Gordo was run over by a van, the driver leading police on a wild chase in South Los Angeles last night.
He heard some sirens outside, ran out the door, and he was hit by the car that was being chased.
Los niños son los primeros que lloraron.
Santos says his kids started to cry when they realized how badly Gordo was injured. The 1-year-old Maltese mix was rushed to this Culver City Animal Hospital. His leg, according to doctors, was in bad shape.
It was purportedly running on its rims rather than its tires, and we suspect that one of the rims cut his back leg.
We've been stabilizing him, basically making him comfortable. That's one of the big things, is that he's so painful that we've been giving him very good IV injectable opioids at a continuous rate to make him feel very comfortable.
The cost of Gordo's care will run in the thousands of dollars. Donations have been pouring in to help the family pay for his care.
Gracias por por la ayuda que nos han dado.
Gordo's owner says he's thankful for the help his family is receiving. Gordo's long-term prognosis, considering what he's been through, looks pretty good.
In the long term, he hopefully will have a very good result. Running, jumping, playing, going wild.
Sid Garcia, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Doctors say the surgery went well. They were able to save his right hind leg, but he's still got a long road of recovery, and they say he may need more surgery.
A suspected arsonist is under arrest today in the massive King fire burning northeast of Sacramento. In 5 days, the fast-growing and dangerous fire has burned 71,000 acres, fed by tinder-dry conditions. 37-year-old Wayne Allen Huntsman has been charged with deliberately setting the fire. He's being held on $10 million bail. Tonight, some 12,000 homes are threatened by the fire. 3,000 people have been evacuated.
People keep saying, why don't you just get out and go someplace else? But you have to know.
4,000 firefighters are working to get a handle on the fire. It's 5% contained.
We could know in a matter of hours if Scotland will become an independent nation. The polls have closed and vote counting is underway at 32 regional centers across the country. ABC's Terry Moran is in Edinburgh, Scotland.
It's Scotland's Day of Destiny.
If not me, who? And if not now, when?
At polling places across this ancient land, millions of voters are casting their ballots on whether Scotland should break away from the UK and become an independent nation or remain part of a centuries-old union with London. Independence leader Alex Salmond has worked for decades for this moment.
That's an extraordinary moment. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
An amazing 97% of Scots eligible to vote have registered. And in the frantic final weeks, passions are running sky high here. But the voting today is orderly, civil. Polls show a very tight race with no voters, those who want to stay in the UK, with a slight lead. Among their leaders, former Prime Minister Gordon Brown, a Scotsman who made an impassioned plea in the final hour.
Have confidence and say to our friends, for reasons of solidarity, sharing, justice, pride in Scotland, the only answer for Scotland's sake and for Scotland's future is vote no.
The voting will continue here and across Scotland until 10 p.m. local tonight. And there are no exit polls. Paper ballots, so they're counting these votes one by one. And so this crucial result for the future of Scotland, the United Kingdom, and their allies around the world won't be known until about breakfast time Friday morning. Terry Moran, ABC News, Edinburgh, Scotland.
Up next, an 83-year-old woman with a long rap sheet is going to jail again. Find out what she did this time.
Plus, startling news from Home Depot. You won't believe how many customer accounts were compromised.
And why surgeons in Venezuela are quickly running out of breast implants.
Temperatures cooling down today. How low will they go? Details coming up in this 7-day forecast.
Well, California's governor is making LA's mayor so happy. I'm George Pinocchio, the story in tonight's Hollywood Wrap. Plus, the actress signing on to the Magic Mike sequel. And why the Shailene Woodley film, The Fault in Our Stars, is making news tonight. Next.
Tonight, disturbing new details about the extent of Home Depot's data breach. The home improvement retailer estimates the cyber attack affected at least 56 million unique payment cards. That makes the breach larger than the attack on Target last year by 16 million. Home Depot says it has eliminated the malware behind the attacks that took place between April and September.
An 83-year-old woman with a long rap sheet as an international jewel thief has been arrested again. Doris Payne was taken into custody in Indio today for allegedly violating her probation from the theft of a ring taken from a Palm Desert store. She's been ordered back to jail in lieu of $100,000 bail. The convicted thief was released from jail just 2 months ago because of overcrowding. Payne has reportedly stolen $2 million worth of jewelry over a 60-year period. Well, we've heard of food and water shortages, but in Venezuela they're experiencing a shortage of a different kind. This one's in the bus line. Yeah, women looking to surgically enhance their breasts will have to settle for their natural cup size. American-made breast implants and other medical supplies are now on Venezuela's long list of scarce products. Surgeons are having a hard time buying them because the Venezuelan government is tightening restrictions on who can access American dollars. Some women are now turning to implants that are made with lower quality.
Jonathan Novak here.
Now to weather. Hey, it was awesome today.
So much better.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I take full credit. The rest of the stuff, the hot weather, Mark, not my fault. Okay, today we also saw the marine layer pushing back into the area, and we have a great time lapse of that. This is our time lapse from LAX, and this will be a player in tomorrow's weather. I'll tell you why a little bit more. We always know this will affect the temperatures, but it's going to be pushing pretty far inland tomorrow. And so it looks like we're going to be seeing some really cool weather, even in the IE, way cooler than you've seen the last even 2 days. Live making it off with 7000 HD. We are dry tonight. Temperatures today, 81 in LA. 83 is our normal. Whew, what a huge drop from a couple of days ago when we were in the triple digits. 71 at LAX right now. 71 is a common number from Santa Monica over to the airport. Downtown LA also, and Burbank. 67 in Oxnard. Oh, man, I love these temperatures. 71 in Temecula. What a nice change. 62. Good evening, Wrightwood. This is a great graphic. It shows you the difference between the temperatures from this time last night to tonight. It is 14 degrees cooler in Burbank right now than it was this time last night. 10 to 11 degrees from Van Nuys over to Victorville and Palmdale. A much cooler situation. So, first of all, off to the east, the remnants of Odile bringing plenty of showers and storms and a little bit of flooding to portions of Texas. So they're dealing with that, but that is well-needed rain. So a little bit of a give and take there. Now, what we have is a big trough of low pressure that's been building in over the last day and a half, and that is giving us a very strong onshore flow. Over the next couple of days, it's going to do what we call cut off. It's going to cut off from the main circulation of the atmosphere, hang out, and continue that onshore flow, giving us a deep marine layer that should push, it looks like, into the IE for tomorrow and into Saturday. And in the meantime, down south, the tropical storm, another one, Polo, winds of 70. Doesn't look like it's going to strengthen too much more, according to the National Hurricane Center, but yet again, another tropical system down south. Man, and that one should bring some rain to Cabo, which is now cleaning up from the last storm that just blew through. What a week for that area. Temperatures in the 60s overnight, though, for us. We can only look for some good weather tomorrow. The morning clouds, now here's the thing with the marine layer. It's going to be a little finicky tomorrow, and if it breaks up over your area a little bit sooner than later, you see some temperatures warm up a little bit more, but you know what? It's going to be below average for those numbers. 80s in the IE. Look at that. 85 in San Bernardino. Temperatures in LA and your 7-day forecast in the 70s. We're only back in the 80s Monday. So until then, beautiful stuff. Morning clouds, afternoon sun, valleys, IE, temperatures in the 80s for 3 days. You hit 90s on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. The mountains, beautiful stuff. Fall like a chance of a couple of showers there. Just some sprinkles, really, with the marine layer pushing up on the coastal slopes and the high desert into the 90s by Saturday. Beautiful stuff. We'll have another check of the weather coming up in a few.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jonathan. In tonight's Hollywood Wrap, some feminine magic hits a male-dominated sequel.
Plus, the governor hopes to keep the entertainment industry as the heart of California. And here's George Pinocchio with all the details.
It looks like it's happening. Here we go. Earlier today, Governor Jerry Brown signed a bill designed to curb runaway production from California. It's an expansion of the program many say is helping to keep film and TV jobs in Hollywood. He signed it outside the TCL Chinese Theater in Hollywood. Brown's bill will provide up to $330 million in tax incentives for the next 5 years to help keep film and TV productions in California, and also to lure producers back to the Golden State.
It's all of us working together with a big dream, a big vision, the vision of California, the place of opportunity.
We've all heard the term runaway production, but let's be clear. Production and production jobs aren't running away from California. They're being lured away by financial incentives from other states. But that stops today.
The bill also abandoned the past practice of a lottery for choosing productions for tax breaks. Instead, it favors a selection process based on their availability to boost the local economy and provide jobs. No word yet on where they'll be shooting it, but Andy McDowell is joining in on a sequel. Variety reports she's landed a role many women might love to play. Somehow she'll be involved in the Magic Mike sequel. Her co-stars, Channing Tatum, Matt Bomer, and Joe Manganiello. Earlier this year, everyone expected Shailene Woodley's big film of the year would be the special effects-driven Divergent. But instead, the $12 million tearjerker, The Fault in Our Stars, has emerged as one of the most profitable titles of 2014. It's crossed the $300 million mark at the global box office and surpassed Divergent. Fault was also released on DVD this week. And finally, congrats to the Chew contributor, Chef Curtis Stone. He and his wife, actress Lindsay Price, are the proud parents of a baby boy. Emerson Spencer Stone was born Tuesday. Everyone is doing well, and Curtis's rep says he is officially the happiest man in the world. Coming up tonight on Eyewitness News at 11 o'clock on ABC7, Kerry Washington, and an artist familiar to the music world who does paintings you won't believe.
Oh, look forward to that.
Okay.
Thank you, George. Up next, Wall Street is bracing for the biggest IPO in its history.
Plus, iPhone 6 fever is heating up. We'll tell you how long some folks have been waiting in line.
And a small dog recovered from a dumpster during our heat wave is making a recovery. Now authorities are looking for whoever dumped the dog.
Wall Street is expecting the biggest IPO in history when trading resumes tomorrow. That's because the Chinese internet company Alibaba officially goes public at $68 a share. Alibaba-branded websites dominate e-commerce in China, and the company is making a big push to sell more goods in the United States. If demand for Alibaba stock is high, the e-commerce company could be worth nearly $170 billion or so, making it one of the most valuable companies in the world.
New iPhone 6 goes on sale tomorrow, and people are already waiting in line. This was the scene just moments ago outside the Apple store in Pasadena. Some people have been camped outside the store since Monday. Apple says there was a record 4 million orders for the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus in 24 hours. They expect 10 million new iPhones to be sold this weekend. iPhone 6 and 6 Plus have larger screens than the iPhone 5S. Apple Retail has hired Pasadena police officers to keep the crowds under control. An Apple rival, Amazon, has released a new set of tablets and e-readers. One of those devices, the $200 Kindle Voyage, is the thinnest e-reader made by Amazon with a higher resolution and contrast. The company is equipped with the handheld devices with a new feature called Amazon Free Time. It allows parents to manage their kids' access.
Well, coming up, we're updating this evening's top stories next at 8:30.
Including a new strain of the enterovirus hitting Southern California. 4 children have gotten sick. Are there even more cases?
And it looked like housekeepers, but authorities say they were actually burglars. How they allegedly scoped out their victims. Coming up.
Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 8:30 p.m. on LA56.
Our top story at 8:30, a rare illness which has struck children in 16 states has now reached Southern California. I'm Ellen Leva.
I'm Mark Brown. David and Colleen are off. This is Eyewitness News at 8:30 on LA56. State health officials say 4 children here have been infected by a new strain of the enterovirus. 3 cases were confirmed in San Diego County and 1 in Ventura County. The patients range in age from 2 to 13 years old. 3 out of the 4 have an underlying breathing problem like asthma. None of the children had traveled outside of California prior to getting sick. Officials expect to find more cases.
A terrifying ordeal for passengers aboard a JetBlue flight out of Long Beach as a mishap with one of the engines forces the plane to make an emergency landing. Cell phone video shot by some passengers captured the moments just 10 minutes after takeoff. Plane was heading to Austin, Texas, carrying 142 passengers and 5 crew members. Passengers described hearing a pop, then white smoke filled the cabin. They put on their oxygen masks. The plane turned around and landed safely. Then everyone exited the plane on slides before being bused to the terminal.
Another big story tonight. The LA County Sheriff Department has made an arrest in the fatal stabbing of a 6-year-old in Torrance. The boy's father has been taken into custody. The stabbing happened early this morning at 88th Street and Compton Avenue. Eyewitness News reporter Robert Olguin has details on the arrest plus reaction from the boy's family.
Yolanda Sanchez says her 38-year-old brother has abused drugs and alcohol for years, but she says she had no reason to believe that Alejandro Sanchez would ever harm his 6-year-old son. There was never any hitting, she says, nothing outside of the ordinary.
The father did have blood on him, yes.
Sergeant Luis Nunez is a homicide investigator with the LA County Sheriff's Department. He says the boy's father was detained last night shortly after deputies found the boy bleeding to death from multiple stab wounds.
We're looking at every possibility as to what triggered this explosive incident.
The 6-year-old boy was living with his father in an RV trailer behind this house on the 1600 block of 88th Street in Florence. Last night, neighbors called 911 to report that the father, who was covered in blood, was standing in the street screaming.
He didn't put up any type of resistance and wasn't really saying much once the deputies detained him.
Residents here were struggling to understand what could have prompted such a horrific attack.
You never know what. You got so many people doing different things, and it's not right.
Even veteran investigators were shaken.
Especially when you go see the child at the hospital and you see just a beautiful little angel there and realize that he went through hell and is no longer with us.
Yolanda Sanchez says she wants her brother to be held accountable. Robert Olguin, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Long Beach police are stepping up their efforts to track down any evidence in an unsolved murder. On March 28th of last year, 19-year-old Sydney Wallace was shot and killed while talking with some friends in an alley near Locust Avenue and Hill Street. Today, detectives in Long Beach search and rescue canvassed the neighborhood looking for any information to help them solve Wallace's murder. Shooting happened about 9 p.m. while the busy neighborhood was still full of activity.
I'm sure somebody knows something.
Absolutely.
So we're just asking that you would come forward and just give the detectives a call. Keep your name silent, just give them a call.
Sydney was not a gang member. Police say the group was shot for no reason. And a Florida man is accused of killing 6 of his grandchildren and his daughter before turning the gun on himself. A sheriff's deputy responded to a report of a shooting in the small town of Bell near Gainesville. Authorities say they made contact with 51-year-old Don Spirit, who then committed suicide. They then found the other 7 bodies. Investigators say Spirit, who had a criminal history, is the only suspect, and some people were left alive in the home. It's not clear what was the motive for the shooting.
Sheriff's deputies have arrested 2 women accused of posing as housekeepers to burglarize homes in South Orange County. Authorities now want to return the items back to their rightful owners. Eyewitness News reporter Eileen Frere has details from Laguna Niguel.
Surveillance video shows the suspects drive up in front of a home in Laguna Niguel. The 2 women get out, then casually grab their cleaning supplies. But authorities allege 36-year-old Sandra Rojas and 38-year-old Marie Rojas, related by marriage, were only pretending to be house cleaners.
They had no intention of cleaning the house. They would steal money or jewelry, and then they would leave.
Investigators say the 2 women carefully scoped out their victims, choosing homes that already had legitimate house cleaners.
They would wait for those housekeepers or maids to leave, and then they would enter under the guise of also being a cleaner or a housekeeper. Neighbors would see them entering a house with vacuums or brooms or something that indicated that they were housekeepers or maids. They didn't alarm neighbors.
And it's just sad to see that people are really
they would go that far to steal something from someone's home.
Authorities suspect the two Riverside women now in custody are tied to at least several burglaries in South Orange County over the past year, where thousands of dollars in cash and jewelry were taken.
You know, they may have committed burglaries in other areas in Southern California, and that's why we're reaching out to other law enforcement agencies.
Investigators are also reaching out to you. Talk with your neighbors. Take a good look at the photos. If you recognize the women, they want to hear from you.
People coming pretending with their housekeeping, and we have no idea. Maybe I will tell everyone to the neighborhood.
Eileen Frere, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
If you recognize these women, you're urged to call the Orange County Sheriff's Department at 949-425-1940.
Gordo, the white dog seriously injured during a police pursuit, is recovering from surgery to save his right hind leg. The 1-year-old Maltese mix was hit by a van last night and rushed to a Culver City Animal Hospital in bad shape. Doctors performed surgery late this afternoon, hoping to save his leg. Gordo will still need surgery in the future, but he's said to be resting comfortably tonight. If you'd like to donate to help pay for Gordo's medical expenses, a PayPal account has been set up. And for more information, you can log on to our website, ABC7.com.
And we're following the story of another dog in a tight spot. The Chihuahua mix was recently left in a dumpster as temperatures soared into the triple digits.
Now, officials are offering a reward for information leading to whoever deserted the little dog. And as Inland Empire Bureau Chief Rob McMillan tells us, they're also trying to find him a permanent home.
If I walk by the kennels and he sees me, he'll jump up and down, wagging his tail, barking.
Like practically every other dog at the Riverside County Animal Shelter, this little Chihuahua is up for adoption.
I thought it would take maybe a couple of days for him to warm up, but by the afternoon he was running into us, wagging his tail, just wanting some attention.
But he wasn't brought here by a tearful owner or found wandering the streets.
As I looked in, sure enough, there was that little guy.
He was found in a dumpster last weekend at an apartment complex in Rubidoux.
He just stared up at me, almost to say, like, oh, thank God, you know, someone's going to get me out of here.
Officer Tiffany Fuller is the one who got the call that day and took him to the shelter, where he's now waiting for a new home.
What a difference at the end of the day when I walked back in to check on him. Just jump out. He came right up to me almost to say thank you. It was just really cute. So I just hope he gets a good home out of all this.
Amazingly, besides a little dehydration, this guy is just fine, but it could have been much worse.
The trash pickup happens every day except for Saturdays and Sundays.
And fortunately, he was found on a Saturday. And remember, this was also in the midst of that brutal heat wave.
His tongue was deep red, curled up. He was panting very heavy. You know, I got him out and rushed him right to the shelter.
So hopefully he'll soon have a new home. As for the person who did this, there's a $2,000 reward for information leading to an arrest and conviction.
There's no need to treat an animal like trash. It's just despicable, and it's shameful. And bring the dog to the shelter. A sweet little dog like that, we'll give him a second chance.
Rob McMillan, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Up next, White House calls for a national plan to fight a medical problem linked to more than 20,000 deaths a year.
Plus, a message from Toronto Mayor Rob Ford, what he wants people to hear just before he begins aggressive chemotherapy.
Jonathan Novak here, the marine layer coming back in tonight. Temperatures are on the decrease. How's it looking for the weekend? Details and all of it coming up in your 7-day forecast. Stick around. Hey, can we just move because it's not part of September Food Action Month, but it is. So can I just move that to the top and say it's Food Action Month and.
Antibiotic overuse is a serious problem in the U.S., and experts say it's getting worse. The CDC says antibiotic-resistant infections were linked to 23,000 deaths last year. And today, President Obama ordered the government to create a national plan to fight against it. The executive order calls for forming a task force and advisory council aimed at better tracking of antibiotic use, as well as the development of new drugs to fight resistant disease. And the FDA is taking a closer look at popular testosterone supplements. An advisory panel for the FDA wants drug makers to do more tests on the risk of heart attack and stroke associated with testosterone supplements. Despite ads that tout remedies to combat low T, the FDA advisors say there's no clear scientific evidence showing that testosterone therapy can reverse the effects of aging, and they raise concerns about the heart risk.
Toronto Mayor Rob Ford spoke out today from his hospital room just hours before beginning aggressive chemotherapy for a rare and difficult-to-beat cancer. The Toronto mayor has been hospitalized for more than a week with a tumor in his abdomen. Just Friday, he withdrew from a re-election campaign after months of scandals over drug and alcohol abuse. In a subdued and hoarse voice, Ford thanked his supporters.
With the love and support of my family, my friends, and the people of Toronto, I know I'll beat this terrible disease. I am determined to face this head-on and return strong for my family and for my city.
And then Ford asked supporters to vote his brother into office as mayor.
Will our cool weather stick around for the weekend? Meteorologist Jonathan Novak has his complete forecast up next.
Plus, the most popular trophy in all of sports pays a visit to our ABC7 studio. And this story.
It's a battle over handicap parking, but it's not your usual car. It's a hearse. I'm Rob Hayes. Why the woman who drives this car is worried she may get booted from her apartment. Coming up.
Jonathan's here. We're hoping that this weather's here to stay, at least through the weekend.
You know, it is for a little while. It's funny because it changed so quickly that I think you really appreciate it much more than if it were a gradual cool down. A couple of days ago, you were in the triple digits, Burbank. I'm going to show you your highs today. We're in the lower 80s. Outside, the marine layer is even moving back in. This is our satellite imagery showing low cloud cover moving back into Southern California. Highs today, look at you, Burbank, 81. Yesterday, you were in the mid-90s. Before that, you were in the triple digits. What a change. Woodland Hills, 87. That was your high today. In Victorville, 85. It is 71 in downtown Los Angeles, 70 in Santa Clarita. The valleys, look at that. Van Nuys, 73. Beautiful stuff. 62 in Wrightwood as we head into Palm Springs. It is 93 only as we look at a very comfortable evening. This is a great map. It really tells the story of what has changed. It shows the temperatures compared to last night to tonight. It has cooled down 11 degrees. So in Victorville, last night it was 11 degrees cooler at this time. 14 degrees cooler this time last night in Burbank. So a big drop in those temperatures. Why? High pressure was our menace over that heat wave, and it is way off to the east now, off to the west, and now pushing over California, a big trough of low pressure. That's giving us the onshore flow and an increase in that marine layer, and it's going to keep us cool for several days. Now, watch what happens in the future scan. You'll see that low get, quote-unquote, cut off, which means it's going to hang out, pretty much cut off from the flow of the atmosphere for several days, giving us a very potent marine layer onshore flow. Keeps us cool through Sunday. Then we'll finally, on Monday, start seeing a warm-up, but it won't, it looks like, be as warm as we just saw. Just a little bit of a warm-up back to average. By the way, down to the south, Tropical Storm Polo, winds of 70, moving to the northwest at 9 miles an hour. Another tropical storm down to the south of us. That one looks like it could bring some rain to Cabo, unfortunately. Highs tomorrow, about the same as today, even a little cooler, 78 in Los Angeles, mid-80s in the IE with some marine layer pushing in all the way to you in the IE. Here's that 7-day for LA Metro and Orange County. A couple of days after that in the 70s before we warm back up to average on Monday on. Beautiful forecast in the valleys, lower 80s. Enjoy it. You will, it looks like, also see that marine layer pushing in 90s by next week, but nothing too extreme. Mountains, a little bit of moisture again with that low hanging offshore, just offshore. Might squeeze out a shower on Saturday, but chances kind of slim, about 10-15%. And then the weekend looking good in the high desert, just breezy. Temperatures below 90 tomorrow and into the 90s for the weekend. Good stuff, everybody. Enjoy it. All right, we're changing gears now. It's Food Action Month this month, and that means help for homeless veterans. The LA Regional Food Bank teamed up with SRO Housing, provides some places to live and food also to some of those who need it most. Check this out. On Thursdays, Korean War veteran Richard Smith has one thing on his mind.
Just waiting around for that food bank.
It's delivery day for the LA Regional Food Bank. Richard's been receiving their food for 13 years.
They provide a level of support, which is fantastic. You eat here about 2 months, and that means you've gone through the menu and you've heard every war story that's ever been told.
Richard lives at Single Room Occupancy Housing, a corporation that gives homeless and low-income people a place to live. It's one of the many organizations partnered with the food bank to help veterans and others in need.
The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is distributing over 1.2 million pounds of food per week throughout Los Angeles County to agencies just like SRO Housing.
Eli Littman with the food bank says about 90% of the people they help have a place to live,
which is something that a lot of people don't sort of understand as part of hunger in Los Angeles, that most of these people are living in permanent housing.
And almost 15% of them are veterans.
We think it's so important that they've served our country that we make sure that these folks have a good meal on their table every single day.
The food bank gets truckloads of food throughout the year, but if it weren't for partnerships with organizations like the SRO, it wouldn't be able to get to people like this who really need it.
So the whole of September is Hunger Action Month. All the food banks, there's over 200 that is part of that collaboration. We're all working together to raise awareness about hunger here in America.
And that idea hits home for Richard.
We're all in this thing together.
Love that. He's great.
That's sweet.
He's absolutely right, too.
Yes, he's absolutely right. And there's a lot of organizations that are in collaboration with the food bank to get that food out to people who need it. It's just a fantastic partnership that they have with lots of great places like the SRO.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Thanks a lot, Jonathan. Well, sports now. The Angels clinched the American League West last night. The Dodgers are 2 games up on the rival Giants in the National League West with 10 games to go. Dodgers in Chicago to start a 4-game set in a windy night in the Windy City. LA dug themselves out of a 4-1 hole thanks to a big 7th inning. D. Gordon doubles to left field. Andre Ethier easily scores from third, gives the Dodgers the first lead of the night at 5-4. They sent 9 men to the plate and put up a 5 spot in that inning. Yasiel Puig seems to be out of his slump. One of his 3 hits here. The single plates Gordon for a 6-4 lead. The game is in the top of the 9th inning. Dodgers leading comfortably 8-4. Hockey camps open up tomorrow morning, and the Kings are the holders of the Stanley Cup once again. Our ABC7 lobby was an exciting place to be as the Kings brought the Stanley Cup in for a visit. Kurt Sandoval has the story.
It's widely considered the most popular trophy in professional sports.
We're greeted by fans that are just so enthusiastic to be able to have a chance to take a photo with it, touch it, give it a hug or a kiss or something.
This something has traveled more than the president.
We have, a very cool job. It's very unique, and we have an opportunity to travel all around the world.
While it's circled the globe every year, Lord Stanley has called Los Angeles home for 2 of the past 3 years.
When we won in 2012, it was spectacular and a great thrill, but I think a lot of people maybe thought it could be a one-time thing or a fluke, and we felt like it was our coming out party now, winning it again for the 2nd time in 3 years.
On the eve of the Kings opening training camp, this trophy that was originally created in 1893 made a 1-hour stop in our ABC7 lobby, and at one point it became clearly the world's most famous dog bowl.
Look at you coming in. You're not going to touch it?
I need the white gloves. I like tradition.
This is a traveling trophy where every name of every player who's ever won it is engraved on it for eternity. And coordinating its journey can almost take as long.
We sit in a room with a big whiteboard. We have 75 names that we have to accommodate, and that's players, coaches, trainers, and executive staff. We lay it all out on a whiteboard by region.
A job well done, and one that every Kings fan would love to see them tackle again. Kurt Sandoval, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
A disabled mortuary student is in controversial battle for a parking spot at her South LA apartment complex. She drives a hearse, and her landlord says it's not welcome. Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes has more on this bizarre fight for a parking spot.
18-year-old Samantha Kidner shares a rather unique goal with her twin sister.
Our dream is to run a funeral home together.
So it shouldn't be too surprising that her car of choice is a
1996 Cadillac Fleetwood Federal hearse.
Yep, hearse. As in funeral coach, the kind of car that carries dead people. Kidner, we should also point out, is disabled. She often uses the hearse to cart around her wheelchair. But Kidner says her caddy is being targeted by the people who run her apartment building.
They're like, well, we don't want it on the property at all.
That complex? The Lorenzo upscale student apartments near USC. Kidner says when she parked in the Lorenzo's handicap spots, she was forced to move the hearse, even though she has handicap plates.
The parking spot they assigned us is for a compact car up against a wall. I'm like, 1, my car won't fit there. 2, I would never be able to get my wheelchair out.
Meantime, Kidner says she's been forced to park her hearse in front of this children's hospital, something she says is even creepier.
They're like, why don't you just park it in the Children's Orthopedics Hospital parking in front of the building? I was in a child's hospital. I've had 5 brain surgeries as a child. Parents don't want to come see their kids in the hospital and see a hearse parked in the parking lot.
Some Lorenzo residents were equally stunned by that solution.
How's that better by the Children's Hospital? It's a bit more morose.
Management for the Lorenzo wouldn't talk with us on camera, but in a statement said several residents were creeped out by the hearse. Some people at the complex agreed.
It's uncomfortable. I don't even want to know what's in the car.
And a spokesperson for the Lorenzo adds that Kidner isn't even on the lease. Quote, Samantha Kidner is not a resident of Lorenzo, nor does she have an active lease to become a resident in the future. If she is the one operating the vehicle, then there is guest parking made available to her on a first-come, first-served basis, same as everyone else. End quote. Kidner says her mom and sister are named in the lease. She's just worried she's going to be kicked out of the complex, all because of a car that most folks will eventually ride in.
It's a very unique car, but it's still a car, you guys.
In downtown LA, Rob Hayes, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
More news straight ahead here at 8:30 and ahead tonight on Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7. A school bus slams into a house. We'll have the amazing video. Plus, she's the star of the series Scandal, but who are the stars in Kerry Washington's life? She'll tell us who and why. We'll have these stories and all the late-breaking news on Southern California's #1 late newscast, Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7. Prince William will be pitch hitting for his wife Kate on her planned visit to Malta this weekend. The Duchess is pregnant with her second royal baby. Palace doctors say the Duchess is suffering from acute morning sickness, so they ordered her to stay home. Trip to Malta would have been Kate's first solo voyage overseas as a member of the royal family. Palace says William will represent the Queen at the 50th anniversary of Malta's independence.
Finally tonight, in case you didn't know, it's a national holiday for the cheeseburger. A lot of restaurants are taking advantage of National Cheeseburger Day. They're offering all-day specials, including this Bagels and Brew restaurant in Aliso Viejo. The restaurant sold several varieties of these mouth-watering burgers for about $8, including a side and a drink. Other restaurants are offering discounted cheeseburgers throughout the week in honor of this special day.
Yum. Thanks for joining us for Eyewitness News at 8:30 on LA56. Law & Order SVU is coming up next year on LA56.
Eyewitness News continues at 11 p.m. on ABC7 and anytime on ABC7.com.
Remember, you can get your news 24 hours a day by following us on Facebook and Twitter and by downloading our ABC7 app. And we'll see you tomorrow night at 8 right here on LA56. Have a great night.